Hey everybody, Nathan Elson here, and welcome back to another episode of How I Got the Shot. Now today I'm going to be taking you into the studio to show you how I create an image that looks exactly like this. And with that, well, let's just get into it. So here we are in the studio and I'm running a 3-light setup. My main light is an 8600 Pro with the Strobe Pro optical snoot attached. Attached to the optical snoot is the Sigma 50mm f1.4 art lens. And the gobo inserted into the snoot to create the lighting effect looks like this. The model Sarah is positioned on an Apple box in front of a collapsible V-flat from V-Flat World. And the backdrop is a 9-foot seamless super white backdrop by Savage Backdrops. My fill light is a 12x12 scrim, and if we take a peek behind that, you can see that I have two 8600 Pro heads with white umbrellas attached firing into the scrim. This gives me a large, super soft light source, which balances well with the hard light coming from my optical snoot to give me more of that natural sunlight effect. From this angle, you can see how the optical snoot is positioned so that the rays of light are hitting both sides of the V-flat as well as the model. You can also see the distance of the 12x12 scrim from the model. This distance allows the fill light to be nice and even across the image. To show you all quickly what each light is doing, this is the lighting setup with only the optical snoot firing. From there, we can turn on the strobe that is closest to the model to show you the fill light. That fill light opens up the shadows and gives the image more of a natural window light feel. And then with the final strobe powered up, which is adding just a touch more fill to the bottom of the image, it makes sure that the light is even from top to the bottom. Now to walk you through the settings, my main light, which is the Strobe Pro optical snoot, is at half power, which is giving me a reading of f4 at 1/200th of a second shutter at ISO 100. This means that my camera will also be set at f4 at 1/200th of a second at ISO 100. Both of the lights positioned behind the scrim are at 1/8 power, which is giving me a reading of f2 at 1/200th of a second at ISO 100. So this means that my fill light is 2 stops lower than my main light, which allows me to keep the shaping effect from the light coming from the snoot, but opens up the shadows so that there's more visible detail in those darker areas of the final image. So now that we've seen how this image was lit, let's jump into the post-production. Okay, so here we are in Capture One, and I just wanted to show you some of the images straight out of camera. Now these are 3 of my top selections, just poses that I liked. I'm going to end up editing this one here. This is probably what I feel is the most interesting pose of the bunch. But I just wanted to show you, kind of the idea of set building and just creating depth in an image. So as you can see here, it was a really easy setup. We just had one white paper backdrop and then one white V-flat that was positioned in front of that. And by positioning that in front, we ended up we'd create more depth in the image. And now this backdrop is actually, it came defective from Savage. So it actually has, as you can see here, just all these little ripple marks and stuff like that happening in it. And that's actually it's a defective backdrop, but it actually works well as a texture. So I'm using this as a little bit more of a textured wall versus just the white wall in the studio, but I also wanted a white floor instead of the gray floor that I have in my studio. So just putting this V-flat in front of that white backdrop and then having that diagonal light kind of shooting across, it creates a lot of depth in the image, and that's really all I was going for with this. I wanted it to feel like the model was in front of, a window with something obstructing that light coming through, and I feel like, this captured that well. Now for color grading, I'm just gonna come in here and I'm just going to come into my styles and I'm just gonna click on my sun-kissed one here. And it gets a tiny bit dark, but it does give just kind of more of that sunlight glow. So I'm just gonna bring up my shadows a touch here, and I'm gonna bring up the brightness just a little bit. Perfect, there we go. And if I just do a quick before and after, this is the before, and then coming back into the after, and it just gives it that warm sunlight glow. It's just a really quick, easy way to make studio light look and feel as if you were shooting with natural light. It's hands down one of my favorite styles. And if we just come in here close on the model, as you can see, it adds a little bit more detail, a little more texture into the pores, into the eyes, into the hair. It just makes everything pop a little bit more. So it's a really easy way to just add that nice little touch and color grade to the image. And so that's literally all we have to do to this image from here. So with that, I'm gonna jump into Photoshop and I'll take you through the final retouch. So here we are in Photoshop, and the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of these lines that are caused by having the collapsible V-flat. Now, having the collapsible V-flat is amazing, and the V-flats that come from V-flat World are super portable and awesome, and I'm a huge fan. I got them probably a couple months ago, and I've been using them quite a bit. I even have one in my studio here, giving me a little bit of fill light. But being that they're collapsible, you do end up with these joiner lines coming in between. So I'm just gonna get rid of those quick. I'm gonna grab my healing brush here, and I'm just gonna come in and just kind of paint these away. And if you wanted to, you could actually get rid of the seam tape as well, but we're not gonna spend a whole lot of time on that for this touch up here. There we go. A little bit of damage on my V-flat. They're foam board, things like that happen. Then I'm just gonna grab my clone tool here, and I'm just gonna get rid of, again, these kind of joiner Velcro pieces. There we go. You just want to make sure that you're not messing up your direction of shadows if anything's kind of falling into an area where the shadow is crossing. You want to make sure to grab a piece of your shadow and clone from there so that it holds its original shape here. There we go. Awesome, and then just piece right here. And then we're just gonna get rid of this top one. Awesome. Cool, that looks better just like that already. Now, to come in here, I'm just gonna grab my healing brush again, and I'm just gonna come through and just clean up a couple of these areas where the hair is just kind of sticking up a bit more than I would like. I do like a little bit of messy hair in my portraits. It just adds a little bit more life to it versus just having, you know, super clean, pristine helmet head, if you will. But yeah, if it's like one piece that's really straggling across or something like that, straggling across, then I'll fix that up. And I'm just gonna come in here and just get rid of a couple of little variances in the skin. Nothing too major. A little bit on the chest here. Awesome, that looks great. Now I'm just going to run my portraiture action on this image. Well, it's not my portraiture action, it's from Imagenomic, I believe it's called, if that's how you say it. I did a whole video on this. I'll link it up here if you guys are interested in checking out this plugin after. Just kind of ran you through the setup for it and everything like that, but I'm just going to quickly run this here. There we go. There we go, and that just kind of smooth things out in the neck area, a little bit on the face. Just kind of made everything blend just a touch more. I'm just gonna bring down the opacity on that just a touch. And then I'm gonna come in here with my dodge and burn action. And again, this dodge and burn action, if this is the first video of mine that you've seen, it's completely free. I will link it down below. But all you need to do is run the action, come over, grab your paintbrush tool, make sure that it's set to white because your mask is black, set your flow to around 5%, and just start painting in. Now I'm just gonna grab my dodge here first, and I'm just going to come in here and just smooth out a couple of these areas that I can see that are not blending as well as I would like. There we go. And it's kind of hard to see what's happening as I do this, but if I kind of toggle it on and off, you can see, especially here on her chin area, if I turn this off and on, you can start seeing that I'm lightening up those areas a little bit just to make them blend, make the shadows transition just a little bit smoother. Come in here into the eye area. There we go. And the model does have great skin, and the makeup artist did do amazing makeup to give kind of that dewy look, if you will. Just a nice little bit of shine, which is fantastic. There we go. Perfect. So if I toggle this on and off, you can see just little areas, even just down here by the eye, it just gets a little bit lighter. And again, when it comes to dodging and burning and things like that, you don't want to go in there full force and just, you know, hammer away at it. You want to just take things away slightly so that you're not super aggressive on it. You're not altering your image a ton. And, you know, it's kind of getting rid of the areas that you want little by little so that it looks nice and natural. Sometimes with retouching, people can be a little bit heavy-handed, and you can tell real quick that the image was super heavily retouched. And I don't particularly want my look or my work to look that way. So there we go. That there. Just gonna bring this shadow in a touch more. There we go. Perfect, blend that down. And now I'm just gonna come through and I'm gonna do just a little bit of a global dodge and burn just to add a little bit more shaping into the face, things like that. So if I take my burn here, gonna come across. And again, like I said, it doesn't look like a whole lot is happening until you toggle it on and off. And you can start seeing just even here in the cheek areas and on the bridge of her nose. If I turn it off, it gets lighter. If I turn it on, it gets darker. And again, just slight changes to the image. We're just bringing out a little bit of shape. We're not looking to recreate shape that wasn't there. That is what our lighting is for. So I come in, highlight the lips a little bit, and then I come in with my dodge. Come in here and just bring a little bit more of this into the eyes, make them pop a touch more. There we go. Bring this down a little bit. Paint onto the bridge, and again, just highlighting the areas that are already kind of set up as highlights. Onto the lips. There we go. Just like that. So I'll flatten this down. I'll show you guys what the image looked like straight out of camera and with the final retouch. And that's all we need to do to this image. And so that wraps up another episode of How I Got the Shot. Now, hopefully you guys picked up something from this that you can use in your shoots going forward. If you have any questions about anything, use the comments box down below. That's what it's there for. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd very, very much appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Cheers.